stand by.
Yeah!
Chris, how you doing? You doing good?
Delivering and receiving feedback is a struggle throughout the education system. Many professors fail terribly. However, there are those that succeed. We aimed at mining those that succeed to discover what made their feedback so effective. What we found is that there is more than one way to establish effective feedback techniques. However, some are more preferred than others. By understanding both students' and professors' feedback preferences, we can build a pyramid that shows a relationship. So why qualitative? We chose qualitative for a number of reasons. The first, and perhaps the most important reason, is that depth and discovery can be found by doing qualitative research. We came to the conclusion that surveys including numbers and scales would not justify the research needed to get to the bottom of feedback. After deciding on qualitative methods, we then had to choose between interviews or focus groups. We chose interviews. The most important reason for choosing interviews is because we could hand select the samples we wanted to interview. Hand selecting the people is important because we only want those students and professors that have a lot of experience with feedback and can elaborate on it. You cannot go in depth with someone about feedback if all they receive from a professor is a letter grade. Also, when the students are expressing their favorite forms of feedback, they should not be influenced by other participants' opinions. This tends to happen in focus groups. The interview guide that we decided to go with used a variety of qualitative questions. One of the most used qualitative questions was a wish list question. We used a wish list question asking the students what type of feedback they would want from professors if the professors had unlimited time, resources, and were very tech savvy. This question really got the students to open up on their favorite types of feedback and how they would like it in a perfect world. Another qualitative question that was frequently used was a grand tour question. This was very effective when asking the students the steps they took when requesting feedback from their professors. We got very detailed steps showing us the process they went through while getting in contact with their professors to solve a problem. Using qualitative goal questions, we discovered what the students' main goal was behind using different forms of feedback channels. Probing questions were also very effective when interviewing students because we would start with a broad topic and drill down to the root meaning. This pyramid represents the togetherness involved in giving and receiving of feedback. Each individual triangle is a key component to the total structure of the feedback pyramid. First, we build with the coding of the professors and the students represented in the base of the pyramid. Then we have the center of the pyramid, which contains the many ways of communicating feedback. And then we end with the top, which shows the results and relationships amongst the students and professors. So to start, we have the professor analysis. Antecedents are the triggers which drive the professors to give their feedback. These antecedents are giving feedback isn't easy. The professors face certain challenges called conflicts. These conflicts represent the roadblocks to giving good feedback and include once the professors overcome these roadblocks, outcomes are created. These outcomes consist of Next, we have the student analysis. The antecedents for the students include Students also have roadblocks to the giving and receiving of good feedback. These conflicts that students encounter are different from what the professors experience. Their conflicts are: students also reach outcomes when they overcome these roadblocks. Some of these outcomes are: the middle of the pyramid represents the different means that students and professors use to give and receive feedback. Although there are a number of different techniques, each one is valued differently. Across our interviews, we discovered that students have different preferences on the ways they receive feedback. We will discuss these preferences in greater detail throughout the presentation. These means are: the hardest part about finishing the pyramid is the top. Piece by piece, the Egyptians carried the stones to the top to complete the object. Likewise, we have done the same to complete the objective of discovering the relationship between feedback, starting at the base with the students and professors, and then moving to the core, which consists of the feedback channels. Now we will show you how to connect all of this at the top, starting with the framework and then filling it in with unique perspectives of togetherness. The first piece to build the top is through continuous improvement. Continuous improvement is achieved by students and professors working together to build off each other's feedback. We call it co-production. An example of this would be here at Central Michigan University during the process of restructuring the BUS 301 class. The class was not going smoothly, and the professors responded to the feedback given by the students midway through the semester. Their response? Another restructuring which resulted in better learning from the students, which in turn also happened to be a learning experience for the professors.
Because I think they need the feedback, because what I'm doing is I told you, I'm trying to build so that one role play is 25 points, the next one's 50 points, the next one's 75 points, the next one's 150 points. So they can build, but they need to learn from that one to be better at the second one, so they're all interconnected.
Another piece to the pyramid is atmosphere. By atmosphere, we mean that the professors are personable, friendly, and most importantly, professional. Also, the classroom culture must mimic these conditions to get the students' involvement at its max. When these conditions are in effect in the classroom, feedback reaches its greatest potential. At this point, students are more open to giving and receiving one another's feedback via email, peer-to-peer evaluation, or group discussion. Also, by the professors providing good atmosphere, students feel more comfortable with reaching out to the professors outside of the classroom for one-on-one feedback. Availability is an important aspect of constructive feedback. Both students and professors live very busy lives. Professors often have other aspects of their job outside of teaching, such as conducting research, participating in student organizations, working for other companies, and not to mention their family lives. Students are taking a full schedule of classes, as well as part-time work, athletics, student organizations, Greek life, and their families. All this being said, scheduling meetings outside of class has proven to be very difficult. For example, we found office hours or face-to-face feedback to be the most valuable. This is because face-to-face communication delivers instant feedback, tone of voice, verbal cues, and two-way flow of communication. Sometimes professors do not utilize it to their full potential and are often not even there. If they are available, it is very difficult for the time the professors have to match the time the students have. If this was more effectively managed, feedback could be improved. Another very important piece to this point of the pyramid is timeliness. Timeliness is a key link in the relationship between the professors and students. This is because students want immediate feedback on exams and other coursework when the material is still fresh in their mind, which also helps them retain information. The result of our interviews showed that students get pissed off when professors take a while to grade our exams. Students are open to receiving the feedback while they are still focused on the exam.
I try to get back to them within a week and everything because I think it's unfair to let them hanging out there for 2 or 3 weeks. They don't know what their grades are. I promise a week.
I always opt to try to just get it back, get it out, and move on to the next, as opposed to taking more time, because I'm slow at grading anyway, so I don't want to delay the process.
Yeah.
Also, timeliness is critical in other aspects of a course. It is beneficial to students when email are returned within a 24-hour period. This allows students to resolve their issues in enough time. On a similar note, students need to allot sufficient time before something is due so the response by the professor can properly be handled. For example, one should not expect an email to be responded to an hour before something is due. We found that the most important piece to the pyramid as a whole is incentive. It is the most important piece because it drives the beginning of the feedback process. Feedback is built around incentive. Students and professors have vastly different incentives for what drives their giving and receiving of feedback. However, if both parties have a collective goal, both parties benefit. Most professors have little incentive for giving feedback. This is because of the way professors are compensated or valued. So the ones who do give exceptional feedback is because their passion for better education. Students, on the other hand, have different incentives for giving and receiving feedback. Perhaps the most obvious reason is because of poor grades and underachievement. These students are then motivated to see what expectations they are not meeting. Students are also less likely to seek feedback if they are doing well and therefore deem it unnecessary. Professors need to get students to want to receive feedback in situations other than poor performance. However, the professors need to have that incentive in the first place.
So what is the incentive for most, honestly, you're a PhD. What is the incentive for our PhDs to give feedback? There's none. It's just more work.
Now, to fill the peak of the pyramid, we will discuss other relevant topics. Going along with incentive, peer-to-peer can be either helpful or non-helpful. Non-helpful feedback can include a discussion board where the professor requires participation. This is usually unhelpful because the students are not seeking the feedback and therefore not open to it. Also, if a student feels more intelligent than the peer giving them feedback, they will be less receptive to it. Helpful peer-to-peer feedback includes a group project where all members of a team are working towards a common goal. This is because they are working together and filling each other's knowledge gaps. Also, peer-to-peer is helpful when students are enthused to give and receive feedback from each other. Upon depth and discovery, we found that email could be more effective than face-to-face conversation in a few instances. One of the reasons for this is because some students are shy and have a fear of approaching their superior. Also, language barriers provide a block to feedback in the sense that their English isn't strong enough to convey their message effectively. Another in-depth discovery found was that if professors have open discussion time at the end of class, students are not likely to use this as time they should and they just leave. The key here is to offer this time before class so the students are obligated to stay and receive feedback on their assignments and overall performance. It is important to note our results drove the pyramid, not the pyramid driving the results. Now here's a recap of the relationships and results.